Summary. Many of the facts you've been told about the food you eat and how it relates to heart disease are wrong. Fats do not clog your arteries. Salt does not cause hypertension. Omega-3 fat does raise your cholesterol, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because low cholesterol does not necessarily make you healthier. Omega-3 specifically, DHA and EPA, decrease platelet aggregation, blood clotting, and small dense LDL particles in the bloodstream. DHA and EPA are both proven to promote good health, but if you're working to promote heart health, DHA is more effective. This doesn't mean you should seek out only DHA, but look for supplements that contain higher levels of DHA than EPA. Olive oil, particularly high-quality extra virgin olive oil, contains oleic acid and polyphenol, which can dramatically reduce the susceptibility of LDL to oxidation and promote healthy lipid content. Chapter 6. Omega-3 versus omega-6. Fats that regenerate, not degenerate. As we've covered so far, nutrition and health experts have been advising you to make omega-6 fats a significant part of your diet in order to ensure a longer, healthier life. But this recommendation has resulted in a decline in overall health at a population level across multiple countries all over the world. On an individual level, it has likely made you sicker, heavier, and more inflamed. In this chapter, we'll look at brain development as well as specific diseases and how they relate to the skewed omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in the modern diet. Some illnesses may be exacerbated by an excess of adulterated omega-6 and a deficiency of omega-3, and some may be improved by setting this ratio right. Recall from Chapter 3 that humans have the ability to convert the parent omega-6 and omega-3 fats into other fats in same families. The conversion process requires multiple steps, each one controlled by an enzyme. Various health conditions affect the activity of these enzymes. Insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes are conditions whose incidence has skyrocketed in recent years, with over half of the U.S. having pre-diabetes or full-blown type 2 diabetes, and these conditions result in a reduction in the activity of one of the key conversion enzymes. On the other hand, insulin increases the actions of other enzymes involved in the conversion pathway. When the activity of the different enzymes is upregulated or downregulated, they're either working overtime or slacking on the job. The compounds produced along the way either accumulate or dwindle. Think of it like a factory assembly line. Each worker along the length of the line has to be doing her job at the right place or the entire production is compromised. It's the same with converting the parent omega-6 and 3, linoleic acid and alpha-linoleic acid, respectively, into their downstream metabolites. In the case of ALA, those downstream metabolites are the critical factors that contribute to the synthesis of EPA and DHA, which are so lacking in our modern food supply. Table 6.1 provides a look at why we need more long-chain omega-3 fats these days, owing to various natural processes, health conditions, and medications that interfere with the conversion process. Table 6.1. Causes of insufficient EPA and DHA and why we need more of these fats. Excessive adulterated omega-6 linoleic acid in the diet, mainly from industrial seed oils such as soybean, cottonseed, corn, and safflower oils. Inadequate ALA, EPA, and DHA in the diet. Chronic inflammatory states increased need for omega-3. Air pollution and use of household cleaning and personal care products increase inflammation in the lungs and arteries. Heavy metal accumulation. Reduce activity of conversion enzymes. Enzymes involved in the fatty acid and conversions require specific nutrients as essential cofactors. These include zinc, magnesium, biotin, and vitamin B6. Several factors interfere with absorption of these nutrients, potentially reducing the production of EPA and DHA. Medications, antacids, blood pressure medications, oral contraceptives, statin drugs, bariatric surgery, intestinal conditions that cause malabsorption of nutrients, agents that increase excretion of vitamins and minerals, such as caffeine and diuretics. Insulin levels, chronically high insulin, those with type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance. High insulin equals decreased ALA. Insulin resistance equals decreased EPA DHA. Low insulin levels, those with type 1 diabetes or advanced type 2 diabetes, equals decreased EPA DHA. Consumption of industrial trans fats. Hypothyroidism. Advanced age. Menopause. End of table. People with chronic low-grade inflammation can be thought of as being in a state of EPA and DHA deficiency. Aside from the health challenges the existing inflammation causes, the paucity of EPA and DHA can lead to additional problems, since there won't be enough EPA and DHA available to perform their normal everyday roles in the body, such as serving as structural components in cell membranes. Neurons in your brain are especially rich in DHA, so an inadequate DHA supply could potentially contribute to cognitive problems and unbalanced moods. When you look at the exploding incidence of dementia and depression in the Western world, you can't help but wonder if the dramatic decrease in omega-3 fats in our food supply is a major factor. Below is a list of diseases and other health complications associated with inadequate EPA and DHA, but keep in mind, this is just the short list, and it includes only the most common and most serious issues. Owing to the important roles these critical fats play in so much of human physiology, there are other less severe problems that might also result from insufficient omega-3 over the long term. Disease states associated with EPA-DHA deficiency: insulin resistance, prediabetes, diabetes, especially diabetic retinopathy, eye damage, and neuropathy, nerve damage. Obesity, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, fatty liver or NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, chronic kidney disease, peripheral vascular disease, peripheral arterial disease, coronary artery disease, coronary heart disease, ischemic stroke, airway inflammation, such as asthma and COPD, acute respiratory distress syndrome, Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia, age-related macular degeneration, depression, schizophrenia, anxiety, bipolar disorder, seasonal affective disorder, autoimmune diseases including inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis, celiac disease, multiple sclerosis, heart failure, periodontitis. ALA conversion. It's not a given. Under ideal conditions, only a fraction of ALA is converted into EPA and DHA, and most people are operating under those ideal conditions. With optimum metabolic health or dietary choices, some plant-based experts observe that those who are metabolically healthy and have enough ALA in their diet seem to have little problem in making this conversion. An effective conversion of ALA to DHA happens when the omega-6 to 3 ratio in the diet is about 3 to 4 to 1. But people in most industrialized countries consume an omega-6 to 3 ratio of around 10 to 1, significantly reducing this conversion. So even though you can technically make this conversion, that doesn't mean it happens perfectly all the time. Experienced bakers know that altitude, humidity, and other environmental factors affect the way a homemade cake turns out. It's the same with these fat conversions happening the right way. Just because all the ingredients are assembled on the counter doesn't mean they'll spontaneously arrange themselves into a cake. They have to be blended together in just the right way, with each particular step happening at the right time. So it is with omega-3 fats in your body. It's not just a matter of having the raw materials on hand. Conditions have to be right for them to produce the results you desire. Early childhood development. Long-chain omega-3s are a baby's brain's best friend. Omega-3 nutrition in early life, including in the womb, is a major factor in healthy brain development, and healthy brain development influences everything from cognition to attention span, the ability to focus, communicate, learn, and interact with the world. Considering the rising states of attention deficit disorder, ADD, learning disabilities, and other issues that affect learning, cognitive function, and mood in children, it's possible that the average pregnant American woman's diet, so high in omega-6 and so low in omega-3, is contributing. A high adulterated omega-6 intake, which we've established is bad news for your heart and overall health, may be especially undesirable during pregnancy because it reduces the amount of long-chain omega-3s available to the developing baby. A high omega-6 to 3 ratio in pregnant mothers may lead to developmental problems in their babies, and supplementing premature infants with oils rich in DHA has been shown to reduce the risk. Proper formation of the brain and the healthy cognitive function this enables doesn't only affect childhood. These nutritionally influenced processes at the very earliest stages of life have implications throughout adolescence and into adulthood. So you want to do all you can to give your children the best possible start in life. Women of childbearing age have the greatest capacity to convert ALA to EPA and DHA. This may be influenced by their higher estrogen levels, and it's likely yet another feature of human evolution and biology that persists with us to the current day. Developing fetuses and newborn babies require a great deal of long-chain omega-3s, so mom better be getting plenty in her diet or be able to make them from ALA, both during pregnancy and immediately after, to make sure there's enough in her breast milk after the baby is born. The average conversion rate of ALA to EPA and DHA in most people is about 0.2 to 8% and 0.05% respectively, but it's as high as 21% and 9% respectively in young women. However, considering how little ALA most people get, even young women with this relatively high conversion rate still end up with only a tiny amount of DHA. Even if someone's rate of conversion is high, they can convert only what's available to be converted, and there typically isn't much ALA to begin with. The International Society for the Study of Fatty Acids and Lipids recommends that women who are pregnant or breastfeeding consume 300 milligrams per day of DHA, but the average pregnant or nursing woman's DHA intake is a paltry 60 to 80 milligrams a day, about 25% of the recommended amount. That women of childbearing age are so much better than men and older women at converting ALA to EPA and DHA suggests that these fats are particularly important to a growing fetus. DHA in particular is crucial for healthy development of the brain and the eyes, as it is the most prevalent polyunsaturated fatty acid in the central nervous system. The accumulation of DHA in babies occurs primarily during the third trimester, and continues into the first 6 to 10 months after birth. While a woman's overall diet can alter the fatty acid composition of her breast milk. The higher her omega-3 intake, the more omega-3 her milk will contain. On average, the fats in breast milk are 0.5 to 1% of ALA, omega-3, 0.4 to 0.7% arachidonic acid, and omega-6, 8 to 17% linoleic acid, LA, and just 0.3 to 0.6% DHA. However, research suggests that for DHA levels in infants to reach their peak, breast milk should contain a bit more DHA, around 0.8%. Less than 1% of the fats in breast milk as DHA probably doesn't sound like much, but you'd be surprised just how critical even this small amount is. Remember, compared to saturated and monounsaturated fat in your diet, polyunsaturated fats in general make up only a small portion of total fat, but their impact is disproportionately high. It's just like vitamins and minerals. Some of these nutrients are measured in milligrams or even micrograms, extraordinarily small amounts, but if you're deficient in something, it can have a massive effect on your health. It's especially important for moms to make sure they're getting enough EPA and DHA, because there's only one chance to ensure the babies get enough during their formative days and months. And women carrying twins need even more omega-3. Getting the balance of fats right isn't important only when a baby is in the womb. Babies' brains and nervous systems continue developing after they're born and need to have the right building blocks. The formation of neurons is complete before birth, but synthesis of several other types of cells is essential for proper brain function to continue after birth. The formation of synapses, the spaces between neurons, and the actual sites of cellular communication in the brain depends on an adequate supply of DHA, as does synthesis of myelin, a fatty substance that surrounds and protects neurons like the rubber or plastic that insulates the electrical cords on the appliances in your home. It appears that babies will develop better cognitive performance when given DHA in their first few months. Neurons don't just orchestrate cellular communication in your brain. They also connect your brain to your muscles, which is what allows you to walk, run, throw a ball, blink, and even breathe. So the proper formation of neurons and the synapses between them, which is dependent on sufficient DHA, is important for more than just your central nervous system. At the most basic level, this process is essential just to enable you to think and move. DHA in early life is critical for healthy development throughout the childhood and even into adulthood. Ensuring an appropriate omega-3 supply during these important times not only helps with eye and brain development, but is also believed to impact cognition, learning behavior, and even reproduction later on in life. Even though women of childbearing age are the rock stars at converting ALA to DHA, rock star is a relative term here. Remember, the conversion is only about 9%, and most young women consume very little ALA to start with. Pregnant and breastfeeding mothers should aim for an omega-6 to 3 ratio of less than 4 to 1 in their diet so they can be sure they're passing enough DHA on to their babies. According to one group of researchers, altogether the evidence provided by studies in human infants indicate that despite the fact that the ALA supplemented infant formula contributes efficiently to the maintenance of the omega-3 status in premature newborns, they have a modest impact on DHA levels, and that these levels do not reach those observed in breastfed infants. Just like adults, it seems babies are better off getting DHA directly, rather than relying on typically highly inefficient conversion from ALA. Because DHA mostly accumulates during the third trimester, babies born prematurely miss out on their most important exposure to DHA. Breast milk contains DHA, so breastfed babies may be able to catch up, especially if mom's diet is high in DHA. Preemies who are breastfed have higher developmental scores at 18 months compared to those who are formula fed, and preterm infants who are given breast milk for 4 weeks or longer have significantly higher IQ at 7 to 8 years of age compared to those who were fed exclusively with formula. Breastfeeding also leads to better outcomes in cognitive development, vocabulary, visual motor coordination, and behavior. These are benefits that persist throughout childhood. Breastfeeding, whether for preemies or full-term babies, is associated with better cognitive ability and educational achievement and fewer neurological abnormalities at 9 years of age. Want your babies to be intelligent and well-adjusted? Make sure they have enough EPA and DHA. Of course, it's not always possible for women to breastfeed. Be aware, though, that many commercial infant formulas provide only LA and ALA. This may be why babies fed formula lacking omega-3s have a higher incidence of learning disabilities later on in life compared to breastfed babies. Premature babies who are formula fed may be especially high risk for DHA deficiency, and lack of this all-important fat is associated with numerous adverse outcomes such as impaired cognition, poor eyesight, decreased learning ability, and altered behavior. That said, premature babies and full-term babies can still get a great start in life by consuming formulas fortified with omega-3s, especially in the form of EPA and DHA rather than ALA. Whether babies are breastfed or formula fed, the important thing is to ensure they have enough EPA and DHA. Recall from Chapter 5 that generous intake of omega-3s and cutting back on adulterated omega-6 helps keep blood pressure at a healthy level. Many pregnant women are at risk for pregnancy-induced hypertension and a related condition called preeclampsia. Higher amounts of long-chain omega-3s in their diet might reduce this risk. Any women living near the sea and consuming more omega-3s are almost 3 times less likely to develop hypertension in pregnancy compared to Inuit women living farther inland. A lower maternal omega-3 index, the amount of omega-3 in red blood cells, is associated with greater risk of preeclampsia. According to one study, a 15% increase in the ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fats in red blood cells was associated with a 46% reduction in risk of preeclampsia. So even a modest change in the diet can yield a big benefit. To be fair, another study showed that pregnant women at high risk for developing hypertension had no significant benefit from supplementing with EPA DHA. The dose of omega-3 used in the study, 2.7 grams, was pretty generous, but it's possible that women had a typical high intake of omega-6, so even this amount of omega-3 may not have been enough to correct the imbalance. On balance, the bulk of the evidence indicates that DHA and EPA supplementation is beneficial for pregnant women and their babies.